I think a lot of what's on now is still cunning buffoonery, even if I know it's breaking records and generating a lot of money. But we could do better. Tyler Perry is one example of someone who paints a really bad picture of black guys. My rebuttal to Spike Lee is, we ain't that bad like Jesus Christ. Head out. As his alter persona media, Tyler Perry has gained considerable notoriety. Nevertheless, not everyone liked the humorous, dramatic media, particularly director Spike Lee. Why is Lee so against Tyler Perry's persona when Lee is so incensed with Perry? So much so that she has dubbed him an abomination. Let us dive straight in. I am aware of the harm that has been caused by the demonization of Tyler Perry and Spike Lee, two prominent figures in film history who have been at odds for many years over the character media. Lee, however, has opinions about Tyler Perry's character that many would consider antiquated or even transphobic. He believes that media is a tough, street-smart, elderly African-American woman who is brought to life by Perry's amazing acting and spot-on humor. That's it, I'm calling the police. I'm not scared no papa call the purple. If I call the police, they're gonna be here in 10 minutes, okay? Then that leave me 9 to beat the hell out of you. Tyler Perry believes that dressing up as a woman is demeaning to black men and emasculating, and it is not beneficial for the black community. There is a lot of material on today, and I know it's breaking records and producing a lot of money, but we could do better. According to Spike Lee, influential people like Perry should be careful about what they create. We have a black president, so we're going back to man-time Marlin and sleep and eat. Some people on the internet also agree with Lee, believing that Perry's work is harming their own community. Lee argues that black people have finally gained some respect and position in society, and that they should use their craft to benefit the black community instead of making fun of them through their characters. Despite the fact that Medea and the likes were made by highly accomplished modern black artists, one individual used Twitter to express his thoughts about them. Black males dressing up for roles, black women are subjected to widespread devaluation and humiliation in Tyler Perry's Medea, which leads to actual violence against them. Many believe that it's all a plot by the Hollywood elites to deprive black men of their manhood and authority and emasculate them. Someone commented, I can't watch any of Tyler Perry's Medea films, as much as I admire him for his entrepreneurial prowess. I'm sick and tired of such garbage. Younger folks don't understand how long Hollywood has been dressing up black males in dresses and blonde wigs. Perry seems to be the target of outright hatred from others. One individual said, I detest it when black men wear dresses, and I don't like Tyler Perry at all. He's just playing on stereotypes about black people. There are some who agree with Spike Lee that Tyler Perry's depiction of Medea could be detrimental to black people. Although it sounds far-fetched at times, I wonder if Tyler Perry is on a crusade to make black men look as bad as possible so women won't want us anymore, so he can have them all in himself. Other well-known and successful black artists have also spoken out about how ridiculous it is that only black men get asked to dress up as women for the sake of comedy. Charlie Maine, an American radio host, also echoed Lee's opinions on the matter, believing that Perry has made all black men look bad. He believes that Perry has painted a very negative picture of black men, but we ain't that bad like Jesus Christ. Dave Chappelle has frequently shared his thoughts on the topic. He even discussed it candidly in an interview. When I see that every black man in the movies wears a dress at some point in their career, I start making connections between them and thinking, wow, his brother is going to wear a dress. This happened to me. For the sake of a few chuckles, Dave was also ordered to wear a dress on set. However, Dave refused to be humiliated by someone else's demands, so he put the dress on and explained how nothing has to go wrong. The comedian's view on the topic seems to have some support online. Therefore, I'm not doing it because I don't feel comfortable with it. While everyone was focusing on Chrisean Canny, one person took to Twitter to voice his worries. Keep in mind that the industry loves to break black men, dress them up, and feminize black masculinity. Dave Chappelle declined and departed from Hollywood, where black performers are employed to promote cultural degeneration within the community. Speaking on the subject, Cat Williams said that Kevin shouldn't worry about what people would think of him for wearing a dress because there has been a long history of people who have worn dresses before him. A fan brought up the fact that these established black performers were constantly trying to alert people to what was happening under the guise of lighthearted humor. Someone mentioned that Dave Chappelle and Cat Williams had informed you about Hollywood's scheme to feminize us by dressing black males in dresses. There's nothing wrong with being feminine, but given the number of well-known A-list black guys who are feminized, something is obviously wrong. Of course, Dave isn't the only person in the industry who has been requested to do this. Other people have had similar experiences. It's no secret in the business. One individual brought up the fact that Dave Chappelle has stated publicly that there's a Hollywood plot to force black guys into dresses, and he has proof for it. Fox Jamie Arcel snipes A.E. Murphy Hall Arsenio Wayans, seen in Marlon, Bez Rames Cuba Gooding Jr. and Tyler Perry. Naturally, many would argue, and I'm sure there are more, that the so-called insistence on dressing black men in dresses may not be motivated by the elite's amusement, but rather by their desire to degrade black artists. As one person put it, they love pushing femininity on black men. They always try to put black men in dresses and makeup in Hollywood. Dave Chappelle paid a price for refusing to do this. Another turned to Twitter to urge black men to realize what was happening to them. He wrote, "Don't let them put black men in dresses. They do it to shame them. They do it to make them feel inferior, and look what happened." I'm not sure why the black community chews up the folks spreading this hate. Dave Chappelle wore a dress. Kevin Hart wore one. Martin Lawrence changed into a gown. However, Tyler Perry maintains that his portrayal of Medea is solely motivated by love for the incredible black women in his life. He has frequently discussed the impact that certain female figures have had on his work. And in his defense, he is drawn from those experiences rather than creating a stereotype of black women. Spike Lee, on the other hand, believes that it harms the overall perception of black people. Terry Crews wears a dress, which is pure evil. The directors are adamant that Perry's work is not being criticized in a personal way. Lee Spike, I am aware that you and Tyler Perry have had some disagreements, but here's the thing. It's not personal. In fact, Lee believes that the main reason Perry's work is so well known is because he is a shrewd businessman and knows how to captivate an audience, which gives us even more reason to be careful and responsible about how Perry portrays African Americans. Much of this is up to us. We cast our votes with our money, our time, and our wallets. The man has a sizable following, and I think his actions have been quite astute. Although there is criticism, the imagery is frightening. For Perry, Medea is more than just a comic device for cheap laughs. Rather, it's his way of honoring his people. Perry is incredibly proud and passionate about media. I adore the films I've made because they feature the people I grew up with and that I represent. For example, my mother used to take me along to her weekend projects where we would play cards. Most of the women didn't have a high school diploma, but their anecdotes about how much they loved one another and how one would crack a joke when the other was feeling down 5 years old. Lying on the ground with my Matchbox cards, I was in a master class for the rest of my life. Perry believes that criticizing this persona is unfair and insulting, since it diminishes the masculinity of black males. I've heard it all. There's a certain part of our society, especially black people in the culture, that they look down on certain things within the culture. So when someone says you're hearkening back to a point of our life, that we don't want to talk about it, or we don't want the world to see you're dismissing the stories of millions and millions of black people, that's why I think it's been so successful, because it resonates with a lot of us who know these women in these experiences and Uncle Joe, and so on and so forth. But what is important to me is that I'm honoring the people that came up and taught and made me who I am. Their stories deserve to be told too. Perry believes that this is a specific problem only to black people instead of lifting each other up. He thinks black men bring each other down. It's only black people that do this to each other. I have never seen Jewish people complaining about Seinfeld. I've never seen Italian people complain about The Sopranos. It's only us as Negroes that do this to each other. But he isn't one to sit back and take any criticism after Lee talked about media allegedly emasculating black men. In response to Spike Lee's constant criticism of him, Perry was understandably incensed and chose not to hold back during the interview. He said, "I'm so sick of hearing about damn Spike Lee.